Hi everyone, my name is Shauna in case you don't know, and welcome back to another video. I like to talk about movies and TV shows that I've watched recently, and I watched one that I need to rant about. I watched a TV show called Shadowhunters. Obviously most people know what this series is about. It is based on the Mortal Instruments book series by Cassandra Clare. Before I get any farther into this video, I have to address the controversy that happened with this show. When I was in high school in the 10th grade, that is when Shadowhunters first started, and I became very involved in it. I watched the whole first season and a couple episodes of the second season. However, I stopped watching when one of the actors said a homophobic slur on a Instagram live video. They have apologized, but I think that it's something that I need like solid proof that they have changed, and I don't think I've seen that solid proof that they have changed. They just haven't said the word, but like I don't see them doing anything active to restore the harm that they've done to the community by saying that word. In case you're wondering, it was Matthew Daddario who walked in on Dominic Sherwood. So Alec walked in on Jace, and Jace was doing a live stream, and Alex said the F slur and like called Jace that, and it seemed like it was like a joking nickname for each other, but a homophobic slur is not a nickname for anybody, so do not use that word ever. And I'm disappointed in the cast, but I lost interest in the show because of that, and I started up again this year so that I could hopefully finish the book series this year. I also feel okay watching the show after it's all done and been cancelled, a little better after that controversy, but yeah. It's so hard when you're watching a TV show and a controversy happens, because if you can keep your interest in the show, it's like you're still supporting the problematic people that are in the show, but at the same time like the cast is really big, so there's other people in the show that need that job and that didn't do anything wrong that could be punished by people like boycotting the show. It's just like a mess. I never know what to do in this situation. But anyways, I did end up quitting watching the show after season 1 when I was in high school, and I started up again recently because I got Hulu and it was on Hulu. This is going to be mostly a rant, and I'm very sorry about that. Let's start with things that I actually like before I get into the ranting. So Alec was perfect casting look-wise only. He was perfect casting. He's exactly what I pictured Alec to look like in the book. I think that the guy who played Raphael, I'm not sure what the actor's name is right now, but I think he did great. I think he really fit Raphael perfectly. And the fact that he's asexual, and this is the first time that I've ever seen an asexual character in a TV show, really means a lot to me, and I thought that was really cool. Something that I really like about this Raphael actor is that you can really see his time, like from season 1 to season 3, how much he grew as an actor. Like sure, in season 1 he may not have been the best, but he definitely kept working at nailing down this character and getting better at portraying emotions, and I thought that was really cool because you get to witness this actor growing and improving throughout the whole series, and that was incredible. I would even argue that by season 3, Raphael is the best actor in the show. And I'm talking like acting ability and ability to capture emotions and capture the character best. That's what I mean by best. Next up, Magnus and Simon for me are pretty accurate to the books. I felt like they captured the look of the characters really well for the show. They captured the personality. I'm not saying that they're the best actors. They definitely were not, but they did capture my idea of the book characters. I also thought that the gal who played Lydia was an incredible actress, but she just like disappeared in the middle of the second season, so that was really disappointing. Lydia, I believe, is a character that wasn't in the books, and so I was really skeptical about her being in the show, but I think that she actually did a really good job, and I wish that her character would have at least been there for like the series finale in season 3, because her character was just sort of written off the show, and I was like, that's sad, because even though Lydia wasn't my favorite character, I was like, the actress is doing great as Lydia, and I was so disappointed when she was just like casually written off the show like it was no big deal. So there's 3 different actresses that play the Seelie Queen, and I thought that the young actress who played the Seelie Queen and the older actress that is only in season 3 who plays the Seelie Queen, I thought that those 2 actresses did a really good job as the Seelie Queen. I thought that the Lilith actor also did incredible. Made me a little uncomfortable to see some actors and actresses that are like demon type creatures that were like all in black, and I was like, taken out of context, that could be blackface, so I was like, that's a little like weird and little made me uncomfy, but the Lilith actor did a great job as Lilith. I also think that Sebastian and Jonathan, their actors, did really well as their characters, especially the second actor who played Jonathan. He really made me like feel for the character and empathize with Jonathan, even though Jonathan is like a really awful like creature. He still made me empathize with Jonathan because he was such a good actor. I thought that they did the story arc with Simon's family better in the show than they did in the book, and that is the only thing I will say that is better in the show than in the book. I'm not going to spoil it, but I really think especially Simon's sister, they did really well in the show. And that's about it for my praises. Let's go into ranting mode. First of all, I said that Alec is exactly what I pictured him to be in the book, but the actor who played Alec was very stiff and sucked at actual acting. I love Matthew Daddario's sister, Alexandra Daddario. She was in Percy Jackson, and she was in San Andreas. She was in a ton of stuff. But Matthew Daddario was really disappointing. He is not that great of an actor, and he was so stiff, and like every time it was supposed to be like an emotional scene and like really like, I don't know, like sexy scene too between him and Magnus, I was like, dude, you can do better than this. He was just so stiff, and it was like, I don't know, it almost seemed like he was uncomfortable to play Alec in some points, especially during like the romantic scenes, and I was like, this is really, really, really bizarre. Like, just do normal acting? Like, I don't know. And some of the other characters who weren't great actors, I'm like, it could just be bad writing, but for Alec in particular, I was like, no, you're just acting like a board. Even if there's bad writing, you don't have to be stiff as a board all the time. Next up, I hate the City of Bones movie. I never finished it. I will maybe finish it at some point and watch it all the way through, but when I tried to watch it all the way through before, I could not finish it. However, there is one thing that I liked in the movie better than I liked in the show, which is that movie Jace is more like Book Jace than Dominic Sherwood. He looks nothing like what I pictured Book Jace to be. I forget who the guy who played movie Jace is, although I should know because he was in Harry Potter and Fantastic Beasts, but I think he captured the book Jace better than Dominic Sherwood did. Oh, and warning, there's gonna be spoilers in the rest of this. Oh well, I should have probably warned that at the beginning, but it's okay. So I think they did Max dirty by casting him. Like, I feel really bad because the child actor was probably like getting his breakthrough moment, and it's probably like a really good thing for his career. However, they cast a little white boy as Max when his family members, besides possibly Alec, look like they're Latina or Latino. And so he looks nothing like his family. He looks like he would be adopted, and like, I don't know, I feel like they should have been able to like do that better. Like, I don't know, it just feels really awkward, and he doesn't look like part of the family. And I'm not gonna comment on Max's acting because the actor who played Max is a child. But yeah, I'm like, they did Max dirty. They really did. They should have either cast a different person or dyed his hair black or something to make him look like he blends in more with the family. One of the two biggest changes in this entire series that I'm very upset about is that they killed Jocelyn in season 2. I'm not a huge fan of Jocelyn, but she did not die in the books, and she's a semi-main character, so I'm really, really, really confused why they killed her. And I looked it up and they said it was for Clary's story arc. Yeah, Clary didn't mourn over her mom. Her mom's death didn't change anything about her. She was like, oh, like a little sad, crying for a little bit. And I was like, if you're gonna kill off a main character's mom, you better do that better. You better let them grieve better. You better have an actual reason for changing the book this much, but they didn't. Another thing is that the actress who plays Isabel is Latina, and I looked it up online, and she said that she has a hard time with being stereotyped into roles. And at first with Shadowhunters, it seems like, oh, she's not being stereotyped based on her race. But then in season 2, there she goes. A lot of people incorporate drugs with Latinas, Mexicans, and South Americans. And unfortunately they did that in the show, which they did not do in the book. They made her have a yin-fen addiction. They made Isabel have a yin-fen addiction when she didn't have that in the books. And I do believe in a different Shadowhunters series, because the Shadowhunters books is like a whole universe and multiple series in it. I do believe there's a character that legitimately gets addicted to yin-fen, but it was not Isabel. So I was really frustrated by that. And I also don't think that they did it really well, because it was like really cringy every time she would do yin-fen. It wasn't like hi, it was like, I don't even know how to describe it. It made me like really uncomfortable whenever she did yin-fen because of the way that she'd like act with it. And I don't know, I'm just really frustrated about that, because this could have been a role where they didn't stereotype a Latina character, but then they did in season 2. Next up, I was talking about Alec earlier, but there's no chemistry between Alec and Magnus in the show. They get a little bit of chemistry in season 3, but there isn't really that much chemistry there. I do think that Magnus has more chemistry toward Alec than Alec has toward Magnus. The guy who played Alec, it seemed like uncomfortable in scenes with Magnus, which I'm not really sure why. Like, I don't know. And then after knowing the controversy, I'm like, is that playing in here? Like, what's happening? When I watched this back in high school, I was like, oh my gosh, they have so much chemistry. Like, my password for my Wi-Fi hotspot on my phone actually has to do with Malik. But I think the reason I was so obsessed with it in high school was because it was the first time that I'd ever seen an LGBTQ plus couple on TV. And so I think I got so like obsessed with it and so happy about it. But now that I've been exposed to better relationships between LGBTQ plus characters on TV, not better relationships in terms of like the characters meant for each other, but in terms of like actors actually have the chemistry between each other, I can see how much chemistry is lacking between Magnus and Alec in the show. And it's really frustrating and sad to me, because in the book they have great chemistry, they're perfect for each other, but in the show I just don't feel that same chemistry. I've talked about this already a little bit, but mostly all around there was pretty much bad acting. I don't know whether it was the acting or the writing, like I don't know which one I'd rather it be, but in my brain there's like several different types of acting. There's Broadway acting, there's TV show acting, there's movie acting, Disney Channel acting, and Hallmark acting. Disney Channel and Hallmark acting are the worst, they're very cringy, and I would say that this falls around the Disney Channel acting, which I love Disney Channel shows, they just really over-exaggerate everything. And all of the actors in this show did that. They over-exaggerated everything and it just wasn't really like believable like this was a real story. It was really cringy. I'm literally overheating while filming this. The AC did not turn on today. Next up, I love Simon, but the way that they wrote the scenes was incredibly awkward and I was cringing in most of the scenes that Simon was in, especially any hint of romantic scenes with Simon. It was so bad. I love Simon. He's like one of my comfort characters, but why did he have so many awkward scenes? Why did they write in so many awkward scenes? Like, it's so awful. I hate it. Why do you take these perfect characters and ruin them with the show? Like, it's so frustrating. Like, I wish the show hadn't been made. There, I said it. Next up, there's more sex scenes and sexualization than what there was in the book. Clary is very sexualized. Like, she wears so much clothes or like shoving her boobs up for no reason. Like, I don't remember Maya and Jace hooking up in the book, but they hooked up in the show. Like, randomly. Like, what was that? And then the thing about Clary being like overly sexualized, like, it's really frustrating to me, but I'm glad that they aged up the characters, because if that had been a 16-year-old that they were shoving her boobs up in every single outfit that she was wearing, I would have been very pissed off. So I'm glad that they aged the characters up so they were college age. Next thing to say is it was really awkward that Clary's hair was like a natural orange and her mom's hair was like a dyed red, and her brother's hair was a little bit more of a cross between Jocelyn's and Clary's hair. I'm gonna try and find a picture of Clary and her mom and put it somewhere around here, but as you can see, like, what's the point of having Clary have natural red hair, which is the hair that she should have, and having her mom have clearly dyed hair that doesn't look natural? Like, it felt really, really stupid and frustrated me. And I feel like it would have been a simple change to get orange hair instead of dyed red hair, you know, or like worn a wig or something, you know? Next up, I was talking about the Seelie Queen. The middle actor, who is a very popular actor that I liked in other shows, did not do good as a Seelie Queen. She really annoyed me and did not capture the Seelie Queen well, in my opinion. I know I'm like jumping from point to point, but this is the way my brain works, so it's just the way I'm making this video. So when Jocelyn died, what happened was that they made Alec kill Jocelyn, which was really stupid and frustrating. What makes that more frustrating is that they use that as a reason to bring in mental health, I guess, and have Alec almost kill himself. But I'm like, that's so triggering. Why was that necessary when that wasn't in the book at all? Like, if you're gonna include mental health, do it well. Don't do the crap that was done in the show. And another thing that they changed as a result of Jocelyn's death is that Clary goes to a warlock to try and bring her mother back. However, the warlock makes her do a deal where essentially Clary has to do sexual coercion in order to get her mother to come back. And sexual coercion is defined as unwanted sexual activity that happens when you are pressured, tricked, threatened, or forced in a non-physical way. Coercion can make you think you owe sex to someone. That is what happened. It didn't go all the way through, like it did not go all the way through to rape, because I would argue that sexual coercion is rape, but I felt that this was like unacceptable to have in the show, especially the way that they did it. They did not do it in a respectful way. And if you're gonna deal with something like sexual coercion, rape, sexual assault, anything like that, you have to do it respectfully in a show, and Shadowhunters did not do that. But yeah, there was a warlock trying to get Clary to have sex with a demon in order to have a baby warlock, and that was supposed to be the payment to get her mother back. It was stupid and frustrating and unnecessary, and I think that if they really wanted to include rape or sexual coercion, they needed to do it better. They needed to show also the trauma that Clary was feeling after that. She didn't show any trauma from that, and it really frustrated me. Next up, I guess this could work for the book too, but like, so Clary like pulls the mortal cup out of the card, right? Why didn't she just like put the sword and the cup in the card? She's the only one that can get it out because her mom's dead. She's the only one that can get it out. It would just have solved all the issues because Valentine couldn't get them, right? So like, why didn't she just put them in the card? Is there a reason? I don't know. A few times in the series, there's also a phrase said that really pisses me off, and it's really a cliche phrase that we need to think of better things to say in fantasy shows and fantasy books. And that is the phrase, "the legends are true." I heard it like twice in the series, and each time I was like, you know what, you could have come up with something more creative and clever, but instead you say that stupid cliched line. It was frustrating. So Clary has special powers in the show. I don't remember if she has special powers in the books. I think she might, but she might not use them to the same extreme. And Jace has special powers in the show. So why did Jace use his powers in like 2 episodes and then just conveniently not use any more of his powers? Like, what happened? What happened? Did you forget that you gave him powers? What happened? That was really weird and frustrating. Then Clary is more of a side character in the show as opposed to the main character, which works out for me because I felt like her character wasn't well developed in the show. But like, it was weird that she was a side character when she was the main character in the book. Next up, Jonathan kissed Clary twice. We already have the incest stuff from like Jace thinking that he was Clary's sibling and then being in love with each other and like making out and stuff. Then they find out that they're siblings and then they break up and then they get back together to find out they're not siblings. It's a mess. And then to have Clary's actual brother be kissing Clary twice after he knows for a fact that Clary is his sibling. Ew, that is incest. Nothing to do with the show writers. This is completely Cassandra Clare's fault. And considering she wrote a Ron x Jenny fanfiction, I wonder if she has an incest fetish. It is disgusting. And next up, this is all about the season finale. The absolute mess that made me completely hate this show. Now during season 3, I was starting to get a little more invested. I was like, oh, this is a little better. This isn't as bad as I thought it was. And then the mess of a season finale happened. Now granted, I get that this show was cancelled. I legitimately get that it was cancelled, so they needed to wrap it up quickly, but I feel like they could have done it better. They forced Sizzy into the final episode. It was really rushed. Sizzy is one of my favorite couples of all time, so to have it really rushed was stupid. Clary and Isabel becoming parapetized was very rushed, and the relationship wasn't built up in the show, so it didn't make sense why they were asking to be parapetized, and they didn't even get to be parapetized in the end. Yeah, I just wish the relationship had been built on more. Defeating Jonathan was extremely rushed too. Like, everything in this final episode was rushed. Like, we have this main villain that's been tormenting them for 2 seasons, and then to just like in like less than 2 minutes kill him. I was like, why'd you do that? That's really weird. And then so in the show they make it so that Clary loses her memories of the Shadow World. It feels like an unforgivable change from the book. And when that's happening, she's losing runes to show that she's losing memory of the Shadow World. They didn't do that well because she literally lost a rune on her arm, and it was like this big deal, like, it's coming off. And then the next scene, she had the rune back on her arm, and I was like, that's a big oops. So she's just like losing her memories, and she doesn't exactly get them back in the end. And I know that Simon loses his memory in the books because I looked it up even though I haven't read the final 2 books yet. But I was like, how can you just change the book to make the main character lose her memories of the Shadow World? Like, what are you doing? What the heck? And they hint that she might get them back, but she doesn't explicitly get them back. So I am so mad at this show. I've seen a lot of changes from book to screen. Having Clary lose her memories is one that I'm not gonna ever forgive. Okay? I'm upset. There's so many things that hinge on Clary having her memories for, like, just a satisfying conclusion to the series. And the show took that away from us by taking away Clary's memories. So instead of getting a satisfying ending, we get this really, like, really awkward and weird and cheesy ending when she, like, remembers Jace's name, but, like, that's it. She doesn't remember the Shadow World, she just remembers Jace's name somehow. So yeah, those are my thoughts on the show, and as you can tell, I hate the show. I am gonna cosplay Clary because I bought the parts before I saw the season finale. If I'd seen the season finale before I bought the parts, I wouldn't have bought the parts and cosplayed Clary, but that didn't happen, so yeah. If you like this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to me if you haven't already. If you have thoughts on the show, feel free to leave them down in the comment section below. I understand how someone could like the show. Trust me, I really liked the show when I watched it when I was in high school, but it just like didn't age well for my enjoyment of the show. So yeah, I'm really hot. I need to go cool down, so I'm gonna wrap this up quickly. So I'll see all of you tomorrow for a book related video, and I'll see all of you next Monday for another movie or TV show related video. So goodbye everyone!